me, they say, can you believe what China's getting away with? Can you believe what Vietnam, that's a new one, by the way, Vietnam is getting away with? They say, can you believe what Japan is getting away with? They send cars by the millions. They come off the biggest ships I've ever seen in Los Angeles by the millions. We send them like nothing. And if we send them something, they don't want it, they send it back. We send them wheat. We send them wheat. They send us cars that cost $200,000 each. We send them wheat. And then they don't want the wheat. They send it back because their farmers don't want it. It's horrible. It's horrible. I mean, honestly, and we have all the cards. We have all the cards. All you have to do is say, look, you're not treating us right. We have to stabilize. We have to equalize. They send us. We have to send them. It's got to be relatively an equal amount. We're going to get along fine with them. You know what? The funny thing is, we are taken advantage of by every country in the world. Every country beats us. We don't win at anything. Every country beats us at trade. And yet they all hate us. You know why they hate us? Because they don't respect us. They think we're stupid people. They think because our leaders are stupid, we're all stupid. We're not stupid. That's why we have all these people in these rooms. So it's going to change. And I'll tell you about Carrier again. I'll finish the story about Carrier. So they moved to Mexico, right? I would call, meaning, I guess it's not, a lot of people say, you have to act, you have tremendous talent. Somebody said, he's a tremendous, you know, Jeb Bush said, Donald Trump is a gifted politician. My wife said, I thought he was your enemy. Why is he saying that? I said, because he's stupid. What can I say? You know? No, he calls me a gifted politician. I never thought of myself. He's a highly gifted politician. Okay. So I'm only kidding, Jeb. I didn't mean that. You're a very nice man. But look, but I did say that to her. She said, why is he saying that? If I'm fighting somebody, I'm not going to say they're gifted at anything. You know, Putin said Donald Trump is a genius. Now, I don't know Putin at all, okay? I never met him. We were on 60 Minutes together, but we were second people. We got very good ratings, so I was very happy about it. But Donald, you know, he just said it. Donald Trump is a genius, and he's going to be the leader of the party, and he's going to this. He said nice things. So these people I'm running against, they said, we want you to disavow Putin's statement. I said, why would I disavow a statement where a guy's calling me a genius? What am I? And by the way, he's not going to be able to con me, but wouldn't it be nice if we actually got along with Russia and some other countries? Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't it be good? People don't know I'm a unifier. You know, Barack Obama, African American. If I were African American, I would be so angry at him. African American youth has an almost 60% unemployment rate. African American people that are 25, prime time age, 25 to 40, have such a high unemployment rate, you wouldn't believe it. It's gone up, and it's gotten worse since he's been president. Now, he's African American. If I were African American, I wouldn't like him very much. I will do more for the African American people than Barack Obama has ever done. I'll do more in 1 year. I will do more for the African American people in 1 year than Barack Obama has done in his 7 years, soon to be 8 years. And then, by the way, he's out, and thank goodness, okay? So, and by the way, we're going to have a tremendous crossover vote. You watch. You know, a poll just came out where I beat Hillary and Bernie very easily. USA Today. USA Today. I beat both of them. But you know what? We're going to have a tremendous crossover. People have no idea. And the other thing I have that these other guys don't have, you know, they always talk about the 6 states. We have Ohio and Pennsylvania and different states. You have to win if you don't win. Because the Republicans have a structural disadvantage. You understand that. Tremendous disadvantage in an election for president. In a one-on-one election for president, tremendous. But I'm different because I have a chance to win New York. I mean, can you imagine? If you win New York, New York is massive. If you win New York, it's over. If you win New York, it's over. I'll win New Jersey. You know that. I'll win New Jersey. But I'll win Michigan. Nobody else is going to win Michigan. Michigan loves me. I'm always talking about cars. I mean, why wouldn't they? I go to Michigan. I have the biggest crowds of anybody that they've ever seen. We'll win Michigan. That's not even a state. that the Republicans talk about. They don't even talk about. They don't talk about New York. Can you imagine if you pick up the delegates, you pick up New York, you're talking about the election's over. I'll tell you what else I'm going to do. I'm going to do so well with the African Americans. I'm going to do great with them because they get it. They're smart. They know jobs are going to come in. I'm bringing the jobs back. The Hispanics. So they did a poll recently, and it said Trump gets 25% of the African American vote. And one of the pundits, one of these geniuses back here said, you know, because the Republican usually gets 4 or 5%. They said Trump would get 25% in this poll. I don't know who did the poll. They did a poll. It said 25%. The pundit said, do you know that if Trump got 25% of the African American vote, the election's over. You might as well not even have it. Okay? And I'll get it. And I'm going to get all the workers, and I'm going to get the union and the non-union guys. I'll tell you, the Teamsters are having a revolution. The Teamsters love Trump. The Teamsters are having a revolution because they don't want to listen to their leaders who automatically go Democrat. And their leader's actually Hoffa. He said the other day, he said, I got to do something here. This is a problem. If I go with Hillary, this is a problem. I've got to at least talk to Trump because all the workers want Trump, okay? So whether you're union or not, they want Trump, and they will have a problem. You watch. They endorse a guy like Bernie who wants to charge you 95% tax. They endorse Hillary, where it's going to be, look, the country's going to go down the tubes with Hillary. If she's allowed to run, I don't know. I can't imagine. I cannot imagine that she's going to, after what she did, that she's going to be allowed to run. But I think the Democrats are protecting her. All right, now I go back. You know, I have like this chess mind. So now I go back to Carrier. Right? We've covered China. We've covered Vietnam. We've covered Japan. I started with, somebody wrote a very nice story. They said he's got this mind, it's like a trap. He goes here and there and there and there and there. And then he goes back and he starts with, I remember it all. You know, it's really good. It's really good. Because it's a web. You know what I call? I call it the web. It's a web. And it all relates. Everything relates that we're talking about, okay? Right? Look, the woman say, you probably have a very high IQ. That's why you say that. It's a web. So now I go back to where it all began. So Carrier, they move to Mexico. This guy, pretty harsh, said, it's over. You're out of jobs. People working there many, many years. You're out of jobs. Now they'll end up working as part-time jobs because for Obamacare, they only want to hire part-time people. You know that. A lot of part-timers that never had a part-time job in their life, they're now working part-time because they want to keep it under the number so they don't have to hit with and mess with Obamacare because it's such a disaster. So here's what I do with Carrier. Not overly conservative, but very smart, okay? I would say, folks, here's what you do. You are going to pay and you are going to make a lot of money in Mexico. And I congratulate you on your move. I think it's a wonderful thing. Enjoy Mexico. Enjoy everything about it. Good luck. But here's the story. Every air conditioner that you make and every air conditioner that you send across the border to our country, we're going to charge you a 35% tax. Okay? And that tax is going to be used to reduce our debt and bring up our budget and balance our budget. But we're going to charge you a 35% tax. And that's the way it is. Now, I hope your numbers still work, but I doubt they do. So I'm going to get called by lobbyists. But I know a lot of the lobbyists, but I don't care about them. I've used them over the years. Some are very talented. I have lobbyists where I can say, go into that senator and get his vote changed right now. Yes, Mr. Trump. He'll call me up. All done, sir. All done. You know why? Because he raises millions of dollars for the guy. So that's bad for the country, but it's good for the company, good for the lobbyists. They make a fortune. These guys make a fortune. They totally control the people I'm on stage with. So now I'll get a call, and they'll say, Mr. Trump, you can't do that to Carrier. I said, like hell I can't. And they'll say, President Trump, please, please change your decision. It's so terrible. You're setting a terrible precedent. Mr. Trump, President Trump, this is not free trade. I said, no, it's smart trade, okay? And here's what's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen. As sure as you're standing there, we say no, and we say no. It's over. Carrier will announce they've decided not to leave the United States, okay? That's what's going to happen. And they'll build a new plant, or they'll fix up their old plant, and they'll keep the people that have been so great for years. And that's what's going to happen. Same thing with Ford. Ford, I've been talking about Ford now for years, for 2 years. $2.5 billion plant in Mexico. I thought I shamed them that they'd never do it again. But you need to be president to really do it properly. So Ford announces they're going to build a $2.5 billion plant in Mexico. Do you know what a $2.5 billion plant is? You know how big that is? That's like a one-story building. That's a building that goes forever. They're going to make cars, trucks, and parts, okay? And I say, how does that help us? They're closing up plants in Michigan and other places. They're going to open up this massive plant in Mexico. And then yesterday I read in one of the newspapers, I won't say the Wall Street Journal because I think it's one of the worst newspapers I've ever read. Such a pile of garbage. Every bad poll I get is from the Wall Street Journal, you know? Every poll, every time they do a poll, I have a lousy poll. Then I get great polls from everyone else. But every poll, so I don't believe in the Wall Street. I'm not a believer in the Wall Street Journal. I think it's a piece of garbage. It's going to lose a fortune anyway. Don't worry. It'll be out of business like all the rest of them very soon. But let me just tell you, I did read this one in the Wall Street Journal, however, I must be honest. And basically it said Ford is doubling down. That Ford opened the $2.5 billion plant. And now they're doubling down. They're going to open up tremendous additional car. Mexico is going to become the car capital of the world because we let that happen. And here's what I tell Ford, and I say this 100 times over. They call up Hillary. She knows it's a bad deal for the United States. What's good about it? They close up their factories. They close up their plants in Michigan and other states. They build this massive plant in Mexico. They make their cars in Mexico with Mexican labor, and they sell them to us with no tax. How do we benefit, folks? How? In a million years, I went to the Wharton School of Finance, the best school in the world, business school in the world. I think most people do. You got to be really smart to get in, okay? Really. Like the hardest school, one of the hardest schools in the world. You got to be so smart. Okay. So, but you don't have to go to Wharton. You can go to high school. You don't have to go to high school. You don't even have to go to high school. It doesn't help us. So they're going to build cars, trucks, and parts, and they're going to sell them to the United States. So here's what Hillary does. Hillary says, that deal's horrible. I mean, she's not a stupid person. She says, that deal is horrible. But then she'll be hit up with her donors and her lobbyists and her special interests, and they'll say, look, you can't do that. This guy gave you $3.5 million, Hillary. You can't do that. How disloyal is that? Within 2 seconds, she'll say, all right, let it go. Me, no way. I don't get money. Remember one thing. Remember that I'm self-funding. Remember, I don't think I get credit for that. It's such a big deal. I think I'm up to like 25 million bucks already. I thought I was doing it on the cheap. I'm still into this thing now, 25. I'll be up a lot more. And I start spending money because I felt guilty not spending any money. All these guys, Jeb has spent $22 million on commercials against me. People said, why do I dislike Jeb? Because he spends money on commercials. If he didn't spend money on commercials, I'd leave him alone. If he was smart, he'd stop. I mean, it's much better. But they spend money. But it's not their money. It's all special interest money. You saw that at the debate the other day, right? The debate. These guys walk in. They're nowhere. Cruz walks in. The oil industry starts screaming, we love you. You're great. We love you. Then he pretends like, oh, I have nothing to do with the oil industry. I have nothing to do with the banking industry because I refuse to put it down on my form, which is probably illegal, by the way, but we won't say that. So they're all controlled. They stand up. I mean, I walk in. I have no donors. I have no special interest. The room is like I had my wife and my kids clapping for me. It was very lonely. It was very lonely. I mean, the Republican National Committee should be ashamed of themselves for giving those tickets out to all these special interests and donors. It's a disgrace. But anyway, and I've said to myself, by the way, it's not really worth it because I don't know. When people go into the voting booth, they're not saying, we're voting for Trump because he didn't take any money from I don't know if I get my money's worth on this one. I'll be honest with you, folks. I can tell you I'll have a tremendous amount of money. And what I said is true. I started spending a lot of money over the last few weeks because, number one, I didn't want to take a chance, right? You know what I mean? I don't want to be too cute. Oh, I'm so smart. I don't have to spend money. I mean, in New Hampshire, I spent $3 million. And Bush spent $44 million. I was first by a landslide. I won by over 20 points. We had 36. I won by 20 points. I was first in a landslide. By the way, that's 20 points over number 2. That's like 35 points over Bush. But I was first in a landslide, and he's at the bottom of the pack, right? Wouldn't it be nice if our country could do that? If our country could spend less and be number one, wouldn't that be nice? We can do that. We can.